Pivoting. We've all been there at some point or the other. Spending years in a career that you hate, waking up every day dreading to go to the office. And then one day comes where all that regret turns into ambition. You finally get over caring about what others will think about you. You've slayed the first dragon, the dragon that resides in your head. But now you're faced with a bigger dragon, one that is actually between where you are and where you want to be. The question of how you're going to practically make the jump. The pivot. Hello everyone, my name is Rahul Biman and I'm an engineer turned filmmaker. This is the first video on my YouTube channel, so I thought, why not talk about something I'm really passionate about, pivoting. 3 years ago, I was a chemical engineering graduate from UC Berkeley with internship experience at Tesla, and I was working full-time as a battery materials engineer. Today, I'm happy to say that I'm a full-time filmmaker. I run two companies. One is a video production company called Spiral Studios, where we do videos for deep tech startups. And my other company is Run Ninja Entertainment, a film and TV production company, where I tell narrative stories with a South Asian, Indian American essence. I've done short films as well as an independent TV series called Upside Brown, streaming on Amazon Prime. Check it out. So in all honesty, I feel like there are multiple ways to pivot, but I'm just going to share kind of my journey and what I honestly feel is the most sustainable and logical way to kind of go about that, especially if you're pivoting from something very stable to something a little more erratic, unstable, creative. So for me, I graduated with a degree in chemical engineering from UC Berkeley in 2021. I remember that during my college times, I did not really enjoy engineering that much. I remember deciding to major in chemical engineering because as a high school student, I was just good at math and science. And for some reason, I just cared a little bit about renewable energy and climate change and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, why not do chemical engineering? So essentially, it was more of a process of elimination than really a passion of what I chose. I remember in college, I tried everything from research to internships to taking a bunch of different types of classes and electives, but nothing really stuck to me. I remember every day waking up in college, I was never excited to kind of do anything professional related. I was just excited by everything that didn't relate to engineering. And at some point, especially right when I graduated, kind of right when COVID was happening and everyone had a little bit more time on their hands, I started thinking, what do I really want to do with my life? I was about 22 years old or so. A little quarter-life crisis, as some people like to call it, but it really got me thinking and trying to be introspective of what I really wanted in life. And this is the first dragon to slay, right? The one in your mind, to try to figure out what is it that you really want and admitting it to yourself. Because that's the first obstacle. And I think that's the first obstacle a lot of people take decades to honestly come to. For me, what I thought it was actually acting. I remember as a kid, I would always dream about scenarios in the shower or whatever it was, like envisioning myself in a Bollywood movie or a Hollywood movie, just in front of the lights, cameras, and all that stuff. Whenever I was watching a movie, I would always just be enamored and almost transported into a different world. So initially, that was kind of what I thought it was. I wanted to pursue acting, right? So that one summer, I got an acting agent. I did auditions. I did the whole shebang. And that led me to just being happier because although I was working full-time at engineering and doing all this stuff, I knew that I was kind of working towards something I was passionate about. And eventually, once you slay that first dragon and admit to yourself and realize what it is that you truly want to pursue, then you quickly come to face the second dragon, the one that's more real and kind of difficult to really defeat. It's the dragon asking, how do you actually tactically execute upon your dreams and make it come to life? Especially when you're, working a full-time job or a different type of corporate life that is, funding your life. Maybe it's bringing food on the table. Maybe it's giving you some type of financial stability and your social clout or whatever it is. While whatever you want to pursue, maybe it's, in my case, it was filmmaking. Maybe it's something else for you, starting a certain type of business, has a lot more risk, uncertainty, and judgment from other people. how do you tactfully transition to having more of that in your life, to whatever degree that is that makes you happy? And for me, I think the answer is, using all of your free time that you have, burning the candle on both ends of your day to implement that, and honestly just test and see if that is actually something you want to do. You may find out that, well, for me, like filmmaking, you go into it, you realize you hate being on set, or maybe you just don't really actually enjoy doing this as a full-time thing. Maybe you enjoyed it as a hobby. But at the end of the day, you won't really know until you start doing more and more of it. And unfortunately, or fortunately, that means 9 to 5, you're working on whatever your day job is. For me, it was engineering. After that, it's working on something and just getting better and better at the craft until you realize that, one day you might get some type of traction in that field and reach a point where you can make a bigger leap if you do want to. For me, when I was kind of slaying this second dragon, was all of 2021 through 2025. Honestly, I still am slaying it, to be honest. I remember my first project as a filmmaker was this independent TV show called Upside Brown, streaming on Amazon. If you want to check it out, I would appreciate it. That'd be very nice. But I remember my friend and I, we had this idea of a concept for an Indian American sitcom. And we're wondering, why doesn't that really exist? Or at least the ones that were out there, we didn't really resonate as much with. So we had this crazy idea of just creating a whole independent TV show, 9 episodes, 30 minutes each, and just self-distributing it and releasing it to the world. That essentially was my entire life after my 9 to 5, or I guess 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Engineering job. I remember I would get to work around 8:30 in the morning, get back home at 6, work out, have dinner, shower, all that kind of stuff. And then from like 9 p.m. to midnight or 1 a.m., my friend and I would be writing the screenplays for episode 1, 2, 3, up to episode 9. Or then it was 2022 and we had already finished filming. And so we were maybe editing from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. or whatever it was. And I remember that although it was a very hectic time in my life, honestly, I was very happy. And additionally, I learned so much about filmmaking, and I really learned if that was something I wanted to do. Funnily enough, at that time in the beginning, I only did that project because I knew I was going to be acting as a lead character in it, and I thought it was an opportunity to act as a character that I thought was interesting since I wrote it myself. But in doing this and putting all my time into it, I learned more about myself, that I actually loved the process of writing, producing, and directing almost more than acting. And I would not have realized that if I didn't really put the time in on the side while working a full-time job. Because that full-time engineering job, it gave me the stability to do these high-risk activities on the side. If I had left my job, I wouldn't really have as much savings, and I would be I'd essentially be tying like a financial expectation of what this Upside Brown project would bring me. And at the end of the day, since I knew it was a learning experience, that just would not mesh very well. The fact that if you're not making a financial return on your creative project would negatively reflect on your sentiments of it, if that was what your like basis of success was. But given my situation, that I knew that my 9 to 5 is going to fulfill my like financial and other necessities, while this creative project is just going to fulfill my creative desires and help me learn more about myself and what I really want to do for the next 10, 20 years of my life, I was able to put my full artistic being into this project. Which is why I fully believe that when you're starting out in a new venture that you're passionate about, to slay this dragon, you just work longer and harder for a limited period of time until you realize, okay, this is what I want to do. And you'll know when that time comes, when perhaps you're getting some type of traction or some crazy opportunity, or on an hourly basis or daily basis, the income from your or side hustle or creative passion is calling for you to give more time to it. Then you can kind of make the logical decision of when to jump your ship of your corporate job and give whatever your filmmaking or acting or entrepreneurial desire is a full shot.